Hey, what's up guys? Ryan McGinn here with another muscle building fitness interview, and today I got on the line, we tried to do a little video interview for you guys, but Skype had other plans for our days. It's Deen, and JC, you're out of Nashville, right? Is it Tennessee?
Yeah, that's right, Nashville.
He's out of Nashville, Tennessee, and he's a very well-known strength and conditioning and muscle building expert. Been featured in tons of magazines on your blog. I could spend the day listing them all, but one thing I really like about his style is he's really based off of aesthetic muscle building, and I like that, and then I'm just pumped to have you on the call, man. So appreciate you taking the time out of your day to hop on here and do a little Skype interview.
Yeah, I look forward to it.
Good stuff. So without being bland, give us what is your background? Like, how did you get started in lifting? More just like what brought you to where you are today?
Sure.
That you sell products online and help people all around the world.
Yeah, sure. So it's pretty. This is the condensed version, but I started training for athletics when I was 13, and I was kind of a chubby kid growing up, and I stayed in athletics and got into all kinds of sports, and then just fell in love with the strength training aspect of it. Got out of high school, gave up the idea of playing, playing college football or anything. So I really clung to strength training and more so bodybuilding stuff. And through my first year of college, I dieted down, saw my abs for the first time, so I became pretty obsessed with fitness stuff and just continued learning about it. Ended up moving to Nashville in 2007. Dropped out of college a couple times, but I was still really interested in the fitness thing. So I kept reading, kept researching, kept training, of course, and found myself on multiple forums and started giving advice. And then I eventually started a blog, and after that got certified, started taking clients, and here I am today. It was kind of an accident, leading up into it, because my plans were way different when I was in college. But I kept coming back to, strength and conditioning, and something that I really enjoyed doing. So
good stuff. So you mentioned that you saw your abs for the first time. How did that feel?
It was a pretty crazy experience for me because, growing up I was pretty fat at one point, and then got into athletics, but I never really ever, had the aesthetics that I wanted. So seeing my abs for the first time and proving to myself that I could do it was probably one of the biggest turning points in my life when it came to goal setting and creating habits and learning that the power of the mind, you can really do stuff. So it was a pretty enlightening experience for me in 2005, 2006, something like that.
That's awesome, man. I'm actually I got kind of chubby and lazy about 6 months ago, and I was just I guess about 16 weeks or 12, 16 weeks ago, I really buckled down, and I'm just on the cusp of ever seeing my abs for the first time, and I'm like, holy crap.
Yeah.
So it's and that's kind of what led me into really, I've always trained with, as you know, I always trained with Elliot Holst, and we always trained just for strength. Everything was really just based off how much we could deadlift, squat, and we never even really benched. We just did overhead press and strongman stuff. So for literally my entire lifting career for the last 6-7 years, it's been nothing but those type of exercises. And now it's I'm getting in it's a whole awakening to the whole bodybuilding aesthetic world, and I love it right now. I'm so pumped. It's 5 days a week I train, and I can't wait to get there. So it's it is a weird feeling when because just seeing muscles pop out that you never seen before.
It is. It's pretty wild. It's pretty rewarding too.
Yeah. When in senior abs, what type of I'm big on the slower cardio in the mornings. Do you advocate slow cardio, or do you advocate intervals, or a mixture of the two? Or
it's really kind of the preference of the person. I'm not a hardcore, you got to do it this way, you got to do it that way. When I have my personal clients, I normally recommend that they do slow cardio just from a recovery standpoint. But that's totally up to you. I usually recommend people train on the weights 3 or 4 times a week. They can walk just on their off days, for 30 to 45 minutes, or they can, walk every day if they wanted to. My whole thing is just making sure that it's not cutting into the recovery. Then again, I have people who are pretty conditioned and, you know, really in shape, and they can afford to do some sprints after their training or do some sprints on their off days. Again, I really don't care. I'm not really that big about introducing cardio for fat loss purposes, unless you're just, you know, a really tiny person and you have a desk job, and that's the only way that you can like increase your expenditure. So I'm pretty, you know, I'm pretty lenient upon, you know, what we choose, as long as it fits inside of, you know, the realm of what you can actually do, what you have time for.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, for me, the slow cardio was awesome because more or less it gave me, and I don't necessarily know that the slow cardio was like the piece that was like I was always missing, but just the fact that I would wake up every morning fasted and walk for 45 minutes, I think that routine alone kind of set my day up to really make the changes that were going, you know, to happen. Being that I was just I was always right as soon as I got done with cardio, I was always like I was prepped to eat good all day, and then I was pumped for my lifting session later in the afternoon. But now it's like I mean, I'm not too technical, but I mean, I'd say I'm somewhere in like the 15% range. Mm-hmm. And now, like, I've been integrating finishers, like you were talking about, and things at the end of my workout to hopefully get off that, you know, last bit, so I can finally see what I'm hoping to see with abs.
Sure.
But that's awesome. So you, I mean, I'm sure you've helped tons and tons of people, but I always like to get into like the transformation mindset and like what people go through, like just in from getting in shape. And I think it's just awesome, like how much lifting like has changed my life. So I mean, talk about like I mean, as for you, I know it changed your life, but like what have you seen of like some of your clients? Like what's some cool stories? Maybe like, you know, were they like unhappy in like their jobs, like wives? Like what's some cool stuff that may just getting in shape help people achieve that you've seen?
Sure. So my favorite part about any transformation, usually for people, is just the confidence that it gives them. And like I've had guys, like, this is one of my favorite stories, but I had a guy who I was coaching. I coached him for, I guess, about 16 weeks. He sent his first pictures to me, and you know, he was a former baseball player. He really good athlete. Sent me his pictures, and you know, he was fluffy. You know, he could tell he had built some muscle, but he was fluffy, and he wanted to see his abs for the first time. So, you know, put him on a good routine, and we just started, you know, taking it week by week, and just dialing in the nutrition and continually, you know, getting stronger every week. And he would send me update pictures like every 4 or 5 weeks, something like that. And so I would keep a log of them. And I'll never forget, it was like the 14th or 15th week, and he sent me an image. And he says, you know, JC, I just don't think I'm making very much progress. I don't know what I'm doing wrong. I'm getting stronger, but I just don't know if I'm going in the right direction. And I looked at the picture. Dude was really lean, had full abs, looked incredible. And you know, I read the email, I looked at the image, I looked at the starting image, and I'm like, what is this guy not seeing, you know? So I took a screenshot, and I put both the pictures together, and I put the date at the bottom of the pictures, and I sent them to him. And I said, hey, buddy, I was like, I know you can't see this because you see yourself every single day. You got a really critical eye. But I'm just going to tell you that you're pretty much to goal. and him seeing that from an outsider's perspective, you know, gave him confidence. He was like, wow. You know, and then I even pointed out the strength gains he'd made. He'd put like, I can't remember now, but I think he put like 30 or 40 pounds on his deadlift, maybe 10 pounds on his bench, 20 pounds on his squat. And the guy was pretty strong already. And so that's one of my favorite things, is just like he saw that and he was like, wow. He's like, I've really accomplished a lot, you know, in these last, 3 or 4 months. And I think that's something that's really cool, especially with women. I love what strength training and the transformation process does for a woman. You get somebody who's naturally timid, kind of afraid of the weights, mm-hmm. and you teach them how to train properly, and you teach them that it's okay to lift heavy and it's okay to really push yourself. And then they really start seeing changes. They start losing inches, or they start liking the way that their jeans fit better on their thighs or their hips. And then they start seeing like curves in the mirror, and they get really excited. And then next thing you know, when you set them free, they go to the gym by themselves. they go lift weights next to the dudes. And I actually had a lady at one time who was doing RDLs with 275 pounds, which is crazy. And she was, you know, obviously she was genetically predisposed to be super strong, but it was awesome. Like she would go into the gym and she would be doing these exercises, and the guys are like watching her going, is this real? Like, is this really happening? So
it's funny to go to, like, because I'm kind of like, I guess, sheltered, being that I always train out of, like, I mean, for the last like 6-7 years I've trained with Elliot out of his gym strength camp. So like I never see what goes on in the real gym world. So like sometimes, like occasionally I'll do a week at, like, I'll just buy a week at like a gym just to see what goes on in like normal gyms. And it's so funny when you actually see a girl lifting like just a reasonable amount of weight, not even like, you like 275 is incredible, but just like a small, like if you see a girl like bench 135, most guys are just like, holy shit. Like,
yeah.
They just stop in their tracks and just stare at this poor girl who's clearly just trying to work out. But I can see how that would be, as a girl, that would just totally boost your confidence to like whole new levels.
Yeah, it's pretty awesome. It's a really cool thing.
So what's your take on like on CrossFit?
Yeah. Okay. So as CrossFit as a whole, I don't really, I'm pretty indifferent. But then there are great things about it. There are things that I don't really like. So we'll start with the things that I think are cool. In terms of like the team aspect and the competitive aspect, I really like that there's a camaraderie there. And, you know, you go into a good CrossFit box, people are pushing each other, people are competing against each other, people are, you know, really working full tilt. And I think that's an awesome thing. You know, in the training, for most people who are healthy and who are able to do it, like, it's pretty good cardiovascular, you know, training, and there's some strength stuff in there. One thing I don't particularly like is that the CrossFit boxes tend to vary in quality. So you might have like really awesome coaches, really awesome programming, really sound, legit stuff that's going to help people progress, and then you might have, and then I know you've seen the videos online on YouTube with like the CrossFit mishaps or the CrossFit fails or whatever, and we laugh about that stuff, but man, that's really going on, you know. And personally, that left a really bad taste in my mouth for a long time. Like, I was really against CrossFit for a long time for that, but then I just, you know, I kind of took a step back and I realized that, hey, there's some really great people out there. There's like Kelly Starrett, you know, on the West Coast, like. He is the man when it comes to like mobility and strength and like keeping people healthy. So, and he runs a CrossFit box. So, and there's good things and there's bad, but personally, from a programming standpoint, I never would recommend it to anyone. And that's primarily just because most people come to me usually have, you know, 1 or 2 or 3 goals, and basically it's to lose body fat, look better, feel better, and usually to get pretty strong in the process. And from what I've seen from the programming with CrossFit, you know, it all depends on your goals, but I mean, with CrossFit, you're usually just becoming average at a lot of things and not really great at a couple of them. So,
I totally agree on that. And just the CrossFit mishaps, like they can definitely. There's some funny ones out there though.
Oh yeah,
you can find on YouTube.
Yeah, I watched my fair share.
I remember I watched one that was like it's like a teenage girl doing a log clean and press.
Yeah.
I mean, oh my God, I saw it everywhere, but it was just like, it was so terrible. I was like, it's like, why is she even doing a log clean and press to begin with? But secondly, just doing it awful. Like, people just baffle me, especially trainers. Like, and I can't talk bad on trainers because I attempted to be a trainer at one point and I was awful at it. So that's what kind of led me to working on the internet like I do now. I was just like, man, I just really love fitness, but I'm just a terrible trainer. I just like to talk about like my stories and things like that, and like share like what I'm doing. And it was just like, I was like, this. I just never could grasp the concept of like the people that would hire a trainer and not actually want to work out. Like that never resonated with me. And I don't know if you, being that you've probably done this for a really long time, you probably don't get that now. But I'm sure when you started, you had people that would come to you, hire you, and they just didn't want to do anything.
Yeah. So yeah, it's kind of an odd conundrum. Like, I think as people who are into fitness, so for one, there's a bunch of information, and you know this. Like, there's so much stuff to read, there's so much stuff to focus on so many things to get distracted by. And, you know, like I get a lot of times people will come to me and they'll say, hey, I really want your help. You know, here's my situation, yada, yada, yada. Here's what I'm doing. But by the time, like, when it's all said and done, that person's not really coming to you because they want your advice or your expertise. They more want just a validation of what they've already planned to do anyway. Yeah. And this happens a lot. You know, people come to a trainer and they're like, hey, you know, I know what I want to do. I know what I want to look like. I need a trainer to help me get there. But they've already made up their mind. And they just want you to mold to their ideas. And, you know, that's really common. So you kind of have to just take that for what it is, realize that some people are ready for help. Some people think they are, but they're really not. And you kind of have to just deal with it as it comes. But
yeah, I mean, what I see, I mean, and I tend to do things in spurts, like a sprinter kind of would. Like, I mean, when it came to me, like, literally, like, you know, whatever it was, like 12, 14 weeks ago or whatever, I was like, man, I look like shit. I need to fix this. And it was like, and I went all in, you know, like, and I understand. I feel like you have to do that. Like, you have to really, like, you have to just buckle down for like 6 months, you know, maybe even longer, depending on where you start. But it's like you really only have to do that one time. Like, once you kind of transform your body, like, and that's what I'm finding now. It's like it's easy to maintain it, you know, like once you get to that point. Like, there's no, like, if you've done it for like a year, 6 months or so, but there's no like rebound effect. Like, you don't just automatically get fat again. And I think a lot of people, they don't understand that because they so like yo-yo up and down with their weights that there's just the, you know, there's never the balance, I guess you could say.
Yeah, and for a lot of people, it's hard. That's a really hard thing to grasp. I mean, initially, to think that you're going to have to stick to something for an entire year, and that it's also going to take you, you know, 6 months to a year to really instill those habits that need to be in place to make it, you know, practical for the long term. That's, you know, even though, like, to us, people that have done it before and people that have, you know, experienced it, like, it seems easy. But if you've never done it before, it's like, it's really difficult to think about being in that for the long term. Because, like, a lot of times, and this is just, you know, stuff that's, you know, the media is responsible for a lot of this. Like, we see, you know, six-pack abs in 6 days or 6 weeks or whatever. And while, you know, some of that's definitely possible under certain conditions and certain circumstances, it's not possible for the person that needs to lose 150 pounds, you know? Yeah. So I think we get in this idea, especially with the media and especially with sales and marketing, that everything has to be so quick and has to happen so rapidly that we sometimes forget that great things come to those who put in a ton of work and give it time, you know? But yeah, I mean, there's a lot of stuff, and I think we just have to realize that it takes lots and lots of little steps, and we need to build that habit. And then once we build the habit, like you said, maintaining is relatively easy.
Yeah, and I think it comes down to a lot with I guess I read a 50 Cent book called the 50th Law, and he talks about like intense realism, and it's like being able to look at yourself in the mirror and go, wow, I look like shit. You know, there's no way I'm, you know, can get abs in, you know, 3 weeks. Like, it's just not going to happen. So it's like, I think people, like, they have this morphed perspective when they look at themselves in the mirror of, like, actually kind of how bad it really is. They don't want to, you know, take responsibility and go, wow, I need to fix this. You know, for the last 2 years, I've been, you know, fucking up.
Yeah.
So I think that has a lot to do with it as well. Like, everybody, and then once, like you said, the media just pumps it into you that these crazy before and after pictures, like the bloated bodybuilders who ate, you know, drank a gallon of soda and ate 2 bags of potato chips to look fat. But in reality, that's not how they are.
Yeah, yeah.
In the before picture, like, so I mean that's, you know, and leading on that, what's your, and I don't want to get into the whole like diet talk, like what's eat, but what's your take on like drinking alcohol and actually living a social life as like, I mean, me being a male, I have a girlfriend, we like to go out and drink, and I'm sure, you know, there's a lot of single guys listening that want to do the same thing. You know, where does that fit in? Like, how do you feel that affects, you know, your overall development and things like that?
Sure. So I like to think about like the whole, you know, whatever you want to call it, the 5%, the 10% rule. You know, realizing that you can't be perfect all the time. You can't have a diet that's 100% perfect. Your training can't be 100% perfect. I mean, you know, like today, for instance, I plan on waking up at 8. I woke up at 11 o'clock. You know, I had a long night, and I missed out on doing some stuff in the morning, but it's okay. It's like you can't be perfect. So my whole idea is just to like forget any perfect diet, any perfect situation. Know that, if you like to drink and you like to go out, that's just something you do. You shouldn't have to sacrifice that. One thing you should keep in mind is that, there might be certain things that you have to change. You might not be able to do certain things as frequently if it doesn't coincide with your physique goals. But then again, like going out, having a drink 1 or 2 times a week, maybe even more depending upon how active you are and how in line your diet is, I don't see it as being that big of a deal. There were periods of time last year where I traveled a ton and I was drinking pretty frequently, but I was active. I kept up my training, ate well when I could. And then it was time to go out and enjoy friends and family. Like, that's what I did. I didn't worry about it so much. I just kind of write it off the next day. So my advice to the guys that still want to go out is, like, get your training in line. Make sure that you're resting well, getting enough food, doing all the other right things. And then, the other 10% of your diet, like, just do whatever you want. Go out and drink. Go out and have wings and barbecue, whatever you want, and learn to appreciate those times for what they are, and then just jump back on it whenever you're done. Don't really get in such a black and white world where if you go out and get trashed one night, then you've got to bend the rest of the week and then get back on track Monday. Like, kind of try to get out of the black and white mindset is what I tell people.
Yeah, I like to think of it too. I watch a lot of Greg Plitt videos online. He's super motivating. He talks about a lot of he's like, it doesn't matter. Like, you go out and do whatever you got to do. He's like, but know that the next day that your workout's still going to happen. He's like, just don't mess up your daily patterns. Like, really stay accountable. And that's one thing that helped me. Like, because I like to go out, and I prefer to drink vodka water, which is actually, one of the better drinks that you can drink as far as calories and things are concerned. So I just know that, hey, I may be a little hungover, but if I got cardio in the morning, I got to get up and do it. Doesn't matter if it happens at 1 o'clock in the afternoon, but it's going to get done. So
yeah, that's a good point that you make. Just resume your habits. Don't allow a train wreck of the night to completely destroy your pattern, because if you maintain that habit, those blips in the radar are not going to be that big of a deal. But if you don't maintain the habit, that's when things, can start to spiral quickly.
Oh yeah, and we've all. I know tons of people that let that happen, and it just gets worse and worse over time. So without I'm assuming that you cook a lot of your own food and things like that, and you live the the healthy eating lifestyle. But if you want to stick on your diet, let's say a lot of people, one of the biggest complaints is, I don't have time to cook all this food. And how do you kind of tell people that? Like, I personally, I have like my staple go-to going out restaurants. I love Chipotle. Mm-hmm. We have like this little chicken restaurant that does like grilled chicken and vegetables. And it's like, I always seem to find like the healthy replacements. So like, what do you eat? Like, if you want to just go out and you don't feel like cooking, then you want like a fast meal, but you want to stay healthy on your diet.
Sure. So, man, I'm pretty lenient when it comes to this type of stuff. Here in Nashville, we like to eat out just various places down by the colleges. There's always like really good food. So if I'm going out to eat, I'm pretty much limitless. I don't allow myself to just. It depends on where we're at and what we're doing. But like one of my favorite things, and that's relatively low in calories, and you can eat a lot of it, is like sushi.
Yeah.
And you can get nigiri, you can get sashimi. Like what I would do if I was like really hungry and I'm going to be out for a while, and we were at there's a couple of pretty good restaurants here in town, and if we were at one of them, basically I would get a couple pieces of sashimi, and then I would get some nigiri, and I'd usually get a couple, like I would get like one really big, like one of my favorite rolls, and then whatever fish or else we have. And like honestly, like if I didn't eat much that day leading up to that, and I left room for that big meal, it like has no impact whatsoever. So I like to do that, and I really don't try to make a lot of substitutions trying to be healthy, quote unquote, because of just my general lifestyle is pretty much not rigid, but it's just pretty static. Like, I'm eating the same things every day. I'm doing the same things on a daily basis. So when I go out, man, if I want that burger, I'm going to have that burger. If I want to get that wings and some beer, I'm going to have it. But if I am trying to like be, I'll watch certain things on the menu and try to avoid like one thing. Here's a good example. Like when I'm traveling, sometimes it's really easy just to want to just like not care and just eat like whatever you can get, and especially like being in the airport, you don't have the best choices.
Oh, I know, airport's awful.
Yeah, it's awful. So what I try to do is I try to like find like a decent restaurant, and then if I can, I try to pack up on like the highest protein meal they have. So if they'll like offer like a big piece of fish or a big piece of chicken, I'll usually tell them, especially because I'm sitting all day, I'm not really burning much energy. I'll tell them like, hold the rice or hold the extra sauce or whatever, and just give me the big piece of meat, and then like throw on some fruit and some vegetables. But that's like a rare occasion. Usually I can find something better, but that's like the last minute thing. I'll just load up on protein and fruit and vegetables, and that'll keep me full and relatively low on calories until I can make some better choices.
Yeah, and I think people don't even think that you can do that at restaurants. Like, I mean, most restaurants, they'll cater to kind of, I mean, you may pay a little bit more for the convenience of like you like choosing your own ingredients, but they'll let you pretty much add it, make the whatever plate you want for the most part. That's what I found. Yeah. I mean, like I said, most people, it may cost, $2 or $3, $4 more, but, especially when you're traveling, like things like that, like, it's hell on your body to sit in a plane all day.
Yeah, sitting in a plane and just like going in and out of time zones, and yeah, it kind of sucks. But
I remember, I know, I remember reading like a Craig Ballantyne article a really long time ago, and he's like, because he travels a ton too, and he was just like, whenever he's flying, he tries to make that like a fasting window. Mm-hmm. And I mean, I personally, like, I fast every once in a while, but it's not like a huge, it used to be big in my diet, but until I started really like seeing a transformation, I realized my body doesn't really respond all that well to fasting. Yeah. Like I need to eat, the smaller meals and just like, protein shakes and things like that. So, but I mean, every once in a while, like that's a good way for people that are traveling too, is just to not eat until they land at their final destination. So, but what's you have a program, LGN 365, right?
Yeah.
Can you give me a little rundown on what that entails, and like what can somebody expect if they decide to purchase that?
Yeah, absolutely. So it's called LGN 365. It stands for Look Great Naked 365. I call it a body recomposition course. And the reason I call it a course is because it's not just one program. It's not just one style of eating. It's not just a one-off thing that you do and then kind of forget about and go to something else. So to give it a rundown, opening section is what I call a getting started guide. It's basically my philosophy that I've picked up along the way over the last 3 or 4 years. Everything from muscle gain to fat loss to mindset to setting goals to just getting your head right and getting ready for the transformation to take place. And I have a separate guide completely devoted to fat loss. I have a separate guide completely devoted to hypertrophy, muscle gain. And then within each of those guides, I have 3 training programs for fat loss, and then I have 4 training programs for muscle gain. And all these are anywhere from 12 to 16 weeks, depending on how you run them. They're interchangeable. I also have a couple calculators in there. A couple of the calculators are all based upon the individual. So you can, instead of like giving you a formula and saying, use this formula and calculate your own macros, what I've done is I've taken, a lot of stuff that I've used with clients, stuff that I've picked up over the years, other calculators that I've seen and messed with, and I put it all into one Excel calculator, and you just basically enter your your weight, body fat percentage, and your gender, and then you pick one of the activity multipliers that I've defined, And whatever your goal is, you either pick the fat loss calculator or the muscle gain calculator, you plug in all your information, and based upon your activity, you'll spit out some numbers, especially for your training days and for your off days. And what's cool about this is that while I go into how I came up with these calculators in the Getting Started guide, and I explain all of it, you know, without you having to go do all the math, like, it's done right there for you. So I found what a lot of people struggle with is, like, they'll have all this information, but they have a hard time putting it into place. So by using the calculator, they can say, okay, so this is my starting point. I'm gonna use it. I'm gonna use this calorie range for the next couple weeks, and I'm gonna chart my progress. If everything's going great, keep on par for the course. If you know, fat loss is not happening as fast as I want, or I'm not gaining any body weight for muscle gain, you know, it's time to make a change. And I give all kinds of stuff for making changes there. When it comes to the training section, I have 12 videos that are all exercise demos to show you, like, let's say you don't know how to do a proper front squat or a push press or something like that, and I have that programmed into one of the workouts. You can go and you can see, oh, this is how you do a front squat, or this is how you do you know, a Romanian deadlift or a lunge. And then I also have a list of exercise substitutions. So in my case, I have you know, I have recurring shoulder problems, so I can't do flat bench press. But I can do lots of neutral grip dumbbell pressing. I can do floor pressing. I can do various other things. So if you're someone like that, has a problem with a certain movement, you can go down, you can find that movement, and then you can look at the you know, the stuff that you can do in place of that. And then the last thing I have is I have 5 videos with expert interviews, where I interview some of my friends in the industry, some of the top names in the industry, and we talk about anything from mindset to habit creation to mass gains on a you know, kind of a bodybuilding diet or a bodybuilding program that I put in the book. And there's video and there's audio, so you can plug it into your iPod and listen to that, you know, when you're doing your cardio or whatever. So yeah, that's pretty much it in a nutshell. It's like it's a, you know, a complete course, so to speak.
That's awesome, man. What's the price on that one? Is it, I think, is it 77 or not, what is that?
It's $85.
85? Oh, you didn't go with the 7s. Everybody likes to go with the 7s in our industry.
Yeah.
That's awesome. And that's a one-time thing. There's no memberships or anything like that. They just get that right off the bat.
Yeah, no membership, and it's you know, you've got full support from me. You can email me, or that we actually have a sub forum on Men's Health on their forum, and we do support over there as well.
Yeah, that's a good point as well, because you don't actually JC stuff is so good. He has a forum on Men's Health. Just for those people listening, that's they don't give that to everybody. So, but there should be a link somewhere around this video that I put. It should be right on the video, or one will pop up shortly or be there. Whatever I decide to do, but you can click and you can check out JC's product. It's a really awesome purchase if anybody's interested in aesthetic-based muscle building, body recomposition, or anything of that nature. Also, JC, what is your main site? Is jcdfitness.com, right?
Mm-hmm. That's correct.
So you guys, if you want to follow his blog, he always pumps out good content. Your Facebook too. I always see you have you always have seem like heated debates on Facebook. I see. I love that stuff.
yeah. There's a lot of stuff that goes on Facebook, so I'll just, you know, if that's not your cup of tea, you might not want to hang out.
I think it's awesome. I love people that kind of just like what you do, just kind of, you know, despite some of the trends, and really just, you know, state your own opinion. I love people like that, and just that have a point of view.
Yeah, one of the things I vowed, you know, to do differently this year. I mean, and I've just been evolving as I grow as a writer and as a coach. But, you know, me and Roger did a podcast the other day with Lou Schuler, and you know, I asked him about what he thought of the evolution of, you know, information, and as a writer, how he felt about it. And in short, he basically said, if I wasn't evolving, I shouldn't be writing. I shouldn't be talking about this stuff. So, you know, one of my things for, you know, just from now on, and I've reflected about, is like, you know, things are always changing, information, you know, we're finding out new stuff, and my goal is to never be sold on like one little thing, and always, you know, be willing to hear someone else's ideas and input, because, you know what, it might help me with my business. It might help me get someone quicker, better results. So
That's awesome, man.
you know, I welcome those debates. I welcome those debates.
Yeah, and I'm the same way. Like, I mean, I try not to be black or white. I do have the tendency to go all in on certain things that I'm obsessed about at that time. So, like, I may tell you
Sure.
how awesome slow cardio is for 6 weeks, and then on week 7 be like, no, man, finishers are where it's at.
Yeah.
So I mean, and that's what I like. People that are willing to make like decisions and choices and go all in. It's like, I respect that totally, because it's awesome. More people need to have opinions and just stand up for like what they're into, not even what they believe in. Sometimes just, hey, I'm doing this. It's fucking awesome.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, I
Try it
agree.
out.
Yeah.
So, well, once again, man, thanks a lot for your time, Jason.
Right.
And like I said, guys, listening to this video, click any of the links below. Check out JC's stuff. It's really awesome. You will not be disappointed. He would not be on Men's Health talking to and networking with the people he does if he didn't know his shit. So it's a good guy to follow, and definitely, I mean, I recommend his Facebook. So, but thanks again, JC. And actually, one more question before I let you go. What's your craziest workout that you've ever done?
Sure. It's probably some of the stuff we actually I don't really know what we'd call it, but some of the stuff I work out in a garage gym, so we have like lots of tires and all kinds of stuff around. So what we used to do is we used to do a circuit of, we'd pick 4 movements, and it would be a lower push, a lower pull, upper push, upper pull, and we basically do 4 to 5 sets of each one in sequence, and hardly any rest in between, usually like 8 to 12 reps. And then once we were done, we'd go outside and we basically hammer on the tire and alternate hammering on the tire with sprints. And we would basically do this for like a period of like 30 or 40 minutes. And like if we got done with the weight workout really quickly, then that meant we were sprinting and hammering on the tire for the rest of like 20 minutes or whatever. And so we would do that for like 30 or 40 minutes until one of us just like falls over and says, okay, I'm done. So we do that every once in a while just to kind of shake it up down at the garage gym. But
That's awesome, man. I love hearing people's like crazy workout stories where they're like, I couldn't walk out of the gym, or I was puking in a garbage can, because it's not something you do all the time.
Yeah, that's pretty much how. Yeah, it's pretty much how it goes for us. Like we'll do the weight workout, and at that time, we're like, getting ready to hurl as it is, and then we start hammering on the tire and alternating with sprints or sled pulls, and then afterwards, I mean, and like it's kind of like in a back alley, so like there's we don't have to worry about getting run over or anything. We just lay on the cement.
That's awesome.
And just lay there for like 10 minutes.
Yeah, I've been there before. That's awesome. Good stuff, man. Well, once again, thanks again, JCD, and I appreciate the time. And hope you recover from your night out last night.
Thanks a lot.
Talk to you soon, man.
See you.